Hey Northeastern, this is Audrey from Global Quest, and today I'm going to be talking about midterms the past week and this week, and then next week is like the midterm weeks of for University of Sydney. And I had two midterms already. I had my marketing midterm last Wednesday, and I had my finance midterm on Sunday. And I was very surprised that they actually give out midterms on a Sunday, because I don't think that's something that happens at Northeastern. So when I saw that my midterm was on Sunday, I was like, oh, okay then. And I was like, kind of weird, but it was good. Yeah, and then I have two midterms this week. So I have my macro midterm on Friday and my micro midterm on Thursday. And so I'll be studying for those two this whole week. And last week I was just studying for my marketing and finance. And the weird thing here is, like, I guess also at Northeastern, they don't really give a break when it's midterms. It's just like independent classes will be like, oh yeah, we won't have lectures and tutorials this week because like we think you'll be studying, so we'll give you guys a break, but you still have to go to like your other classes. So I've been like trying to manage my time so that I can get the most studying done each day. So last week, in order to study, I was like cooped up in the study room. I went to the library, and actually the University of Sydney has something called PASS, which is a peer assisted study session. So then you go, it's every week, and then I think you can also go multiple times a week depending on like what you want to do, but like typically you can go like once every week, and then when you're in that class there'll be someone who's like who's taken the class and is like now taking a more advanced class, and then they would just be there like to help you out, and then they have like a set kind of like outline of what they want to do during that meeting, and then they'll give you like practice problems, but they won't really give you the answers. Rather, they guide you towards the answer. So you're working with everyone else in the tutoring session to figure out what the answer is. And I was very surprised that they don't actually give you the answers. But then he also told me like we'll never like lead you to the wrong answer. So like you're coming out of the session like knowing like what you're doing, rather than like being like, this guy didn't even help me. But it's like I went for like right before my final, and I have to say it was like it really helped, because you're able to get some tips from the other students, and like if you're struggling in something, they'll be like, oh yeah, like I was struggling in that too, but I figured it out, like let me show you how, like let me show you like my tip to remembering this and stuff like that, which was really helpful. And I think without that class I would have struggled on the finance final, but because of that I was able to kind of like sort of know where my range of like expertise, I guess, or like what I knew for the class, and then from then on, like before the test, I would study what I didn't know, and I found that really helpful. And so I'm going to be starting to study for my micro test soon, but that I'm not as worried about my micro as my macro test, because I don't feel as prepared for my macro test. So a few study tips that I suggest is, one, like put down your phone. Like either don't bring it with you to like the study room, or like toss it all the way across the room so you don't get distracted. And second, like I've noticed that it's easier to study when I'm listening to music that doesn't have lyrics, so it's just like instrumental, or usually I like to listen to music that isn't English, so I listen to like different like language music, so like I don't sing along, but it's rather like just noise, so it's easier for me to focus that way. And I found that actually like when I was studying in my room here, I was less focused and less determined to study, but then when I went to like the library, or there's a study room downstairs, I'm more determined to like get focused and like driven on what I'm doing. And I've learned that quality is better than quantity. So if you're just in the study room saying you're studying for like 3, 4, 5 hours, but in reality you're just like dozing off half the time. It's not really worth it. Like, I believe that like 2 hours of like hard studying where you're like focused doing practice problems, like actually learning the material, is a lot more useful than just like sitting there and like daydreaming. So yeah, and that's pretty much it for like a recap of what happened. And yeah, talk to you next week.